Hello guys and welcome to another video. This time I thought I would talk to you about what I think are the best and the most useful hard mode weapons in Terraria. But before we start I would like to clarify one thing. The best weapon doesn't necessarily have to be the strongest weapon. What I mean is that just because a weapon is really powerful doesn't mean it is the best. Sure, it is the most powerful and it deals the most damage, but it's not the best. For something to be the best, it has to be good at many different aspects, not just damage. For example, in Terraria, the most powerful sword in the game is the Meowmere. However, since you get it so late in the game, well, it's dropped by the last boss, it's not really useful to progress any further into the game, simply because there are no more bosses or monsters to kill. Therefore, I would say that the Terablade is better, since there are more uses for it. And one more thing, the order in this list is completely random. I consider all of these weapons to be really good in their respective way, so I really couldn't set which one's better than the other. So with all that said, let's begin. The Daedalus Storm Bow. The Storm Bow is dropped by hallowed mimics that can be killed as soon as you enter hard mode. All you have to do is collect 15 souls of light, make a key and then put them in any empty chest. The chest will now turn into a hallowed mimic and it will become aggressive. If you manage to kill it, you have a chance of getting the Daedalus Storm Bow. What this bow does, it makes arrows rain down from the sky. This bow is incredibly powerful against all the 3 mechanical bosses, and if you pair it with some holy arrows. It is especially good against the destroyer since it can hit a large part of his body and also deal damage to the probes. Uzi. This is another weapon that you can obtain as soon as you enter hard mode. The Uzi is dropped by angry trappers in the jungle. The drop rate is quite low at 1 in 100, however this gun shoots very fast and actually has higher base damage than the Mega Shark does, but of course the Mega Shark fires a bit faster. This weapon is very useful against the Twins and Skeletron Prime. Terablade. The Terablade is what I would consider to be one of the most useful swords in the entire game. The sword can be obtained after you killed 3 mechanical bosses. It's kind of annoying to craft since there are several different swords that has to be crafted together. First of all, you will need a fire greatsword, a Muramasa, a blade of grass and a light's bane. Crafting those together will make the knight's edge. Then you will need a broken hero sword, which is obtained by killing Mothron during the solar eclipse event. You will also need 12 hallowed bars to make an Excalibur and then make the true Excalibur by combining the Excalibur with a broken hero sword. Now that you have the true knight's edge and the true Excalibur, you can finally craft the Terablade. It fires a projectile while it swings, which deals a massive amounts of damage both to single target enemies and crowd control. Meteor Stuff. This is another weapon that you can get as soon as you enter hard mode. All you need to make it is 20 meteorite bars, 10 pixie dust and 10 soul of light. The staff fires a meteorite towards your cursor. This weapon also has a full auto mode which deals massive amounts of damage, meaning that you can hide behind covers and still hit your enemies. It's not really useful underground though, but it's relatively easy to obtain, meaning that you can have a really good weapon in the very beginning of hard mode. I have personally killed both Skeletron Prime and the Destroyer with this weapon and it works perfectly fine. The Golden Shower. This is one of the best weapons on this list because of one thing. The debuff it inflicts. It's called the Ichor debuff and it gets inflicted to enemies that gets hit by the weapon. The debuff itself lowers the enemy's defense by 20, meaning that it's extremely useful against enemies with high defense such as bosses and endgame opponents. A good strategy is to use this weapon as a first hit and then switch to a weapon that deals more DPS once the Ichor debuff has been inflicted. So for example, if you're fighting Skeletron Prime for the first time, use the Golden Shower to lower his defense and then bring out the Meteor Stuff or something. Razor Pine. The Razor Pine is a magical weapon dropped by Everscream during the Frost Moon event, which can occur after Terra has been defeated, meaning that you will obtain this weapon pretty late in the game, but it's still a very useful weapon against most enemies and bosses like Duke Fisheron. It fires at an insane rate and high velocity, meaning it deals a ton of damage to most enemies, especially single target enemies. Let's Yoyo. Yoyos are in my opinion the best weapons in the games. They have so many different uses. Combined with the Yoyo bag, they will deal an insane amount of damage both to single target and a crowd, and still have a pretty decent range for a melee weapon. The Yoyo that made it into the list is the Let's, of course. It's dropped by any enemy killed in the jungle and underground jungle after any mechanical boss has been defeated. The base damage is 60 damage, which is insane considering how early it can be obtained. Just make sure that you have the Yoyo bag accessory equipped for massive amounts of damage. Basically what the bag does, it increases your Yoyo range and also makes you throw out 2 Yoyos at once. Another good Yoyo alternative for early hard mode is the Amarok, which can be obtained as soon as you enter hard mode by killing any enemy in the snow biome. Death Sickle. This weapon is obtained by killing Reaper during a solar eclipse event after all 3 mechanical bosses have been defeated. The Death Sickle is great for crowd control since it fires a piercing projectile and hit each one up to 6 times. It is definitely a great weapon to obtain as fast as possible. Crystal Serpent. This weapon is obtained by fishing in the Hallow at the surface or underground. It fires a projectile that shatters into smaller projectiles when it hits blocks or enemies. Since it's obtained by fishing, it can be obtained very early in the hard mode. The weapon will last you well into late hard mode, even able to take down tough bosses like Terra and Duke Fishron. Pulse Bow. The Pulse Bow can be bought from the traveling merchant after Terra has been defeated for 45 gold. The Pulse Bow is a ranged weapon that fires a very high velocity white arrow or bolt, whatever it is. It can ricochet 5 times and it will pierce enemies. The Pulse Bow cancels additional arrow effects, so when you're choosing your arrows, just use whatever that has the highest base damage. The Endless Quiver as ammo can be a good alternative since the bow will have infinite amounts of arrows. That's it. Do you agree with my list? Did I miss any weapon? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you in the next video.